Good morning. Welcome to Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church here in Knoxville, Tennessee. My name is Heather Kistner. I'm congregational president here, and I welcome you to today's service, this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. Hello to those of you here in the building and those of you who are watching online, wherever you may be. We welcome you, whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, wherever you have been, wherever you would like to go, and whoever you would like to be. We welcome you. So for those of you who were here last night, woo! It was a lovely, lovely evening. We had an incredible soiree here put on by our music director, David Asbury. So if you're not familiar with our soirees, they happen generally every 2 to 3 months. And be on the lookout for the next one, not to put David on the spot, but they are a simply magnificent event in which music occurs. Music brings us together. I think we would all agree through the generations, and it is truly a magical thing to do together. I have one announcement today. What is Questions? Questions is a meeting for people who want to learn more about TVUUC, Unitarian Universalism, and our path to membership. It is also open to current members who may want to deepen their connection to TVUUC and Unitarian Universalism. The meetings are held on the last Sunday of the month. Light snacks will be provided. We look forward to meeting you. Our next session is today, after church, in the Lizzie Crozier French Room. This is the first room as you enter the church. It's a lovely room, and Mark Mahundro will be the facilitator of that class, I believe. So here as Unitarian Universalists, we welcome you into our space. We welcome all of your noises and giggles. If you have littles, they're more than welcome to feel comfortable. We have little fidget boxes and baskets on the half wall. Those of us little and not so little, we welcome you to get comfortable in our space as you enjoy the service. I'd like to invite Mark Mahundro out to go over the offertory for today before we begin our service.
Good morning. I'm the prospective new member coordinator and outreach, Mark Mahundro. And good morning. Glad to see all y'all here. Today is for our offering. It is a Generosity Sunday, and that means that everything that is given today will go towards helping the church's general fund. There are several ways you can give. You can put cash or check in the baskets when they start coming around during our offertory. You can donate securely online on our website. There's a kiosk in the church lobby, and you can give a gift via a text message. Send TVUUC and the amount to 73256. All right, thank you and have a good morning.
So again, thank you very much for everyone being here this morning. We hope that you enjoy the service. Without further ado, please silence your electronic devices and welcome.
We come together when we need to remember and celebrate our shared values. We come together when we wish to join our voices to celebrate the good, the true, and the beautiful. We come together to seek comfort in adversity, affirmation in the midst of doubt. We come together to find community of like minds within which we can grow by exploring where we differ. We come together hoping that our shared history can point us toward a positive future. We come together to call one another to be our best selves. Come, let us worship together. please rise in body and spirit and join in singing hymn 331 in the other page.
Sorry, that's a typo. This is not in the hymn.
Yeah, sorry.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other.
The members of the spiritual care team are still answering the phone, but they're taking the weekend off from actually being here. So I'm filling in and sharing what they have heard in their process of listening with a heart center to your concerns and your joys. As anticipated, 7-year-old Iris Luna Sawyer had her Achilles tendon lengthening surgery on Friday. The surgery went well, and she went home as scheduled on the same day. Her parents, Chris Sawyer and Ashley Luna, report the following, quote, "Iris is struggling with the pain and discomfort of the casts, barely sleeping, and crying most of the night. As parents, it's hard to watch her go through this and feel helpless to fix it for her. I guess we knew it would be bad, but not this bad. We want to thank those who have reached out and those who have lifted her up in your thoughts. Please continue to do so. We trust that the pain will lessen significantly as she moves further into her 8 weeks of recovery. Another member of our community, Linda Randolph, shares the concerning news that she has been diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer. She and her medical team are still figuring out the exact nature of the cancer and consequently best treatment plans. She will be needing and welcoming support from us. Her son, Josh, promises to keep us posted so that we can be appropriately supportive as that need gets clearer. And here is a joy to share. This is a birthday. Happy 70th, Bill Fields. And there's a story to share about this morning's prelude. Next Wednesday marks the 20th anniversary of the marriage of Cynthia Crosby and Jim Myers. The years of the marriage were cut short by Jim's death, but the good years that they had together were celebrated today in Cynthia's musical gift to us. Thank you so much. Now, the rest of us can celebrate joys and concerns by signing the cards in the fellowship hall following the service. And do remember, the spiritual care team is available to all of us. They answer phone calls, texts to the spiritual care line number, which you'll find in the order of service and the newsletter. Thank you.
Our reading this morning comes from the Reverend Dr. Molly Hausch Gordon, minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia, Missouri. Get to know your neighbors. Feed them. Let them feed you. Watch each other's kids, grandkids, pets. Develop the muscle of generosity like you are training for a giving ultra marathon. Share everything you can with anyone who asks, and ask for what you need. Get in touch with your body. You will need it, and it knows things. Pay attention to what is happening below your neck. Tell the truth. Tell it to yourself first. Sit at the feet of your most vulnerable neighbors and your own most vulnerable places. They have the most to teach you about survival. Listen. Remember your ancestors and the things that they survived. Find the resilience that is your birthright and the courage that made way for your life. Practice taking risks. Show up in every struggle where someone is fighting for their dignity. because that is how we will survive. Learn about reparations and Native sovereignty. Double down on exorcising supremacy systems from your soul. Listen, learn to be tender. Refuse to be hardened. Let your heart be moved every damn time. Root in the place you are. Learn its history. Learn its geography. Learn its seasons. Sing a lot and dance. Make art. Make love. Rest luxuriously. Eat pie. The world is ending and beginning now. We are surviving now. Let us love. Let us connect. Let us fight like hell for the dignity of each and all.
Let us join in a time of meditation, reflection, prayer, using spoken word and shared silence. May we be present to ourselves, present, honestly embracing our feelings, our hopes, our thoughts. If we are fearful, if we are angry, if we're distracted, whatever our frame of mind, that is honestly where we are. If we are hopeful, if we are happy, if we are focused, that too may be honestly where we are. But may we also be present one to another. Love is the spirit of this church. Make it manifest. Give it life. Service and helping one another. These are important gifts to give and to receive. And truth-seeking always becomes deeper when it is, in part, a shared quest. And may we each be present to that which gives us meaning, that which guides and inspires us, by whatever name we call it, within which we live and move and have our being. We, individually and collectively, are not what is ultimate. Call it God, or ultimate reality, or that which is unnameable, or just sense it. We are part of it, and it is part of us, but we are finite and temporary, while it is infinite and eternal. Amen, and blessed be. Let us join together. You may remain seated. Join together in hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. The music in this service is important. I want to share with you words from Carolyn McDade, who created Spirit of Life. This is what Carolyn McDade told a Unitarian Universalist congregation about how the song came to be. She said, "I want to share with you just a bit about creativity in my life, especially around this prayer we sing together sometimes. It was a time that was very tumultuous, very active, a great deal of social movement. The times are so thrilling when ordinary people get so activated about what is important. Then we take to the streets, go to the jails, we're in demonstrations, and it was a time of that nature, always writing letters, sitting in on legislators' floors, doing this and that and the other. It was a rich, marvelous time in my life. I was in the Boston area, very active in the movements of that time. I was leaving some late-night meeting, of which there were more than enough, with a friend. We went to my car and got in and rode through the streets of Boston, driving along till we came to her community. Now, this is an old friend, and we shared much. In fact, she was the one that organized Gold Star Mothers for Amnesty. Her name is Pat Simon. I pulled over to the curb, and as she was getting out, I said, "Pat, I'm feeling so dry. I just feel like I'm cardboard that sat in a dry attic for many, many years. And if someone came along and opened a window or door and the air moved through, I'd turn to dust." And I sat there. She reached over, put her hand over mine, and we just sat. We had both been in that place before. You just come to a place that is dry. You don't know if you can go on. We sat until she squeezed my hand, opened the door, and got out. So I went right on through the wet streets of the night until I came to my neighborhood, which was completely dark. I parked my car, I went into the dark house without turning a light on, and made my way to the piano. If I don't know how I feel about something, I usually find out if I sing. I sat at the piano, my 3 daughters asleep upstairs, and I just let myself crumble inside. I sat there with my hands on the keys and waited. What I wanted more than anything in the world, and I was very clear about that, I wanted to remain faithful to all the movements of people who are willing to take the piece of clay of their lives and put it into forming something for the whole. It takes a lot of love to give oneself to creating a world that is good for everyone. None of us quite makes it, but this movement of people, the long uprising of love, has been moving through us as humanity for a long time. We come in and take our place within it, do what we can, and then pass it on. Let it be picked up by those who come after us. In that moment, I was just crying out to something bigger and larger than myself. We don't always get ourselves through it totally alone. We know that. And somehow or other, I began to sing. And this is the prayer that I sang. Right there. It wasn't composed. It wasn't written. it was sung into being. The next day, I wrote it down, and it made its way in the world. I do know that in telling this story, I simply contribute my story to the many stories that are in this room and in other places where people sing together. I don't know about you, but I feel like singing it again. Spirit of life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Lean us, Lord, all the streams of compassion.
Now is the time for our offertory. Please give generously.
When they try to divide us, it will only unite us. I lift my voice. When I lift my voice, let it be for good. Let me care as much as I know I should. I won't stand alone, we'll stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified. When they try to divide us, it will only unite us. I lift my voice. When I lift my voice, let it bring new light. Let me stand for truth with unwavering might. I won't stand alone, we'll stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified. When they try to divide us, it will only unite us. I lift my voice. When I lift my voice, let it heal divide. A uniting force with hopes as our guide. I won't stand alone, we'll stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified. When they try to divide us, it will only unite us. I lift my voice. When I lift my voice, let it bridge the gap. Let me build a world where we all adapt. Let's stand alone, we'll stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified. When they try to divide us, it will only unite a collective call that we're not the same. I won't stand alone, we stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified. When they try to divide us, it will only unite us. I lift my voice. When I lift my voice, let it break the chains. Let me help relieve unnecessary pains. I won't stand alone, we'll stand side by side, 'cause we know that love is always justified. When they try to divide us, it will only unite us. I lift my voice.
Back in October, during the campaign but before the election, I was struck by an opinion piece in Scientific American. Its lead sentence was, "Objectively speaking, we are living through a dumpster fire of a historical moment." The authors went on to talk about COVID, climate change, the 2008 recession, and how there seems to be a push for the public to accept as normal these and other events that are not a normal that any of us should be accepting. A pre-election dumpster fire indeed. I thought about saying something positive about how we should cope with the toxic fumes from the dumpster fire. I thought that might be appropriate for this morning. One source I've consulted is Tim Snyder's new book on freedom. Snyder achieved some prominence with his small 2017 book on tyranny. Last year, he published On Freedom, which is a much more substantial book. There are many astute observations and some good ideas, but I'm not going to linger over them. Early in the book, Snyder points out that freedom is an ambiguous term. There can be two different kinds of freedom. There is freedom from, which within limits is valuable. Freedom from unnecessarily constraining and constricting external authority. As one matures from infancy to childhood to adulthood, there's an appropriate lessening of parental monitoring and guidance. Less external authority, a freeing to. It's hoped that responsible adults will exercise the second kind of freedom, freedom to. That's the freedom to create, to innovate, to contribute to the building of community, to the spread of justice and opportunity. Now, in the last few months, we have seen how destructive freedom from can be. We don't have to pay attention to court orders. The behavior of those dismantling government agencies reminds me of the line from the treasurer of the Sierra Madre, "I don't need no stinking badge." This galumphing freedom from precedents, freedom from court decisions, freedom from just basic decency, has recently persuaded Tim Snyder and two of his tenured colleagues to leave their faculty positions at Yale University and move to the University of Toronto. One of his colleagues noted in a talk last week that their leaving has been a good way to raise the alarm. But the other colleague has been quoted as saying that she learned in Russia that when you have a chance to get out, get out. I believe that there is still sufficient freedom, too, that we should hang in here and work to advance positive freedom. There is a great deal that is wrong today. I certainly believe that. But there is still a great deal that is right. We have the option and the opportunity to build from the good and diminish oppression. Now, this is not the first time that Americans have faced government repression and authoritarianism. Don't think so? Ask Native Americans. And notice how gradually women have been permitted to vote and have credit cards in their own names. Wow. And certainly African Americans have not always seen the best of America, unless you buy the rewritten history that lifts up their free, no charge passage and the great job training offered upon their arrival. The civil rights movement, often called by participants the freedom movement, is a prime resource to think about how one works for freedom, even within a system that is designed to repress freedom and dehumanize. Put up with me while I share some stories illustrating the importance of 4 approaches that undermine authoritarian repression. Those 4 are humor, being yourself, speaking your truth, and being in community. Laughter is dangerous to authority. Authoritarians do not appreciate being giggled at, and it can be tremendous fun. Early in the Selma voting rights campaign, local law enforcement wanted to know what was going on in the mass meetings being held in Brown Chapel AME Church. They placed a listening device on the pulpit. The Reverend Ralph Abernathy noticed this, picked it up, and preached to the little doohickey. The listening device disappeared. The group in which I was arrested in Selma was tried as a group, but we were called up before the judge individually for sentencing. Ralph Featherstone was a staff member of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and a graduate of Howard University. When the judge called out Ralph Featherstone, Ralph walked forward, hiked up his bib overalls, which was the SNCC uniform, and said, "Your Honor, where I come from in Washington, D.C., I'm accustomed to being addressed as Mr. Ralph Featherstone." The judge turned a very interesting color. Our group was moved from the crowded county jail to Camp Selma. Camp Selma was a state highway department road camp, which ordinarily housed state prisoners who would do work out on the roads under guard, but it was being repurposed to accommodate civil rights protesters. As we filled the school bus that was being used to transport us, 2 sheriff's deputies got on and commandeered the 2 front seats. A voice, unidentifiable, a voice from the far back of the bus said, "A real gentleman would stand up and offer his seat to a lady." Not a thing they could do about it. Authoritarians love it when people and institutions give in and give up, sometimes without even being directly asked. That makes it really important for institutions and individuals to stay true to their identities, even under stress and duress, or perhaps to use their identities in creative ways. In 1964, Philadelphia, Mississippi was a scary place. In the first days of Freedom Summer, 3 civil rights workers were jailed there and disappeared after their late-night release. Everyone in the movement knew that the 3 had been killed, but their bodies were not found for many weeks. Just because Philadelphia was a scary place, COFO, the coordinating body for Freedom Summer, decided that it was important to change plans and open a Freedom House in Philadelphia. As it happened, the Freedom House was opened on the same day that the bodies of Cheney, Schwerner, and Goodman were found by the FBI, buried in a farm dam. And it's notable that that Freedom House in scary Philadelphia, Mississippi, had a huge, huge sign that said, COFO. I understand it was the biggest such sign on any Freedom House in Mississippi. Shifting focus slightly, there was also a freedom struggle in South Africa. Gordon Oliver, a white South African, was a man of multiple careers. A late one was as minister of the Unitarian Church in Cape Town. A slightly earlier one was as mayor of Cape Town. He told Judy and me that actually the mayor in their system had relatively little power, but there were still things he could do. For example, he got to extend his hand and say, "Welcome to Cape Town and to freedom, Mr. Mandela." And there was some public event at which Bishop Tutu announced plans for a march in Cape Town. Mayor Oliver got to say, and the mayor will be part of that march. He explained to us that with the mayor in the march, the law enforcement officers who till that time had faced the marchers needed to turn and face the onlookers to be sure that the mayor was safe. Be who you are. That confounds those who wish you were someone or something else. And ideally, if you are the kind of person who can do it, speak your truth. Indeed, speak it loudly and clearly. One of the most impressive and inspiring figures of the civil rights movement was Fannie Lou Hamer of Ruleville, Mississippi. In 1962, Mrs. Hamer joined a group that traveled to the county seat in Indianola to try to register to vote. She failed one part of the registration process, interpreting the section of the Mississippi Constitution. But when she got back to the Marlowe plantation, where she had worked and lived for 18 years, Mr. Marlowe told her she had to go back and take her name off the registration list. She replied, "I didn't go down to register for you. I went down to register for me." She left the plantation that night before being forced off the next morning. 2 years later, Mrs. Hamer was a key part, a leader of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party delegation to the Democratic National Convention. The Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, or MFDP, had followed all the state and national rules about delegate selection. And they were asking to replace the regular, that means white, Mississippi Democratic Party delegation at the convention. The white regulars had not followed all the rules. President Lyndon Johnson didn't want this turmoil at what he regarded as his convention, and he twisted a lot of arms very hard to get his way. He threatened Senator Hubert Humphrey with not being the vice presidential nominee if he couldn't stop this mess. In a meeting with the MFDP leadership, Hubert Humphrey was trying to sell an insultingly stingy compromise to at-large seats to be filled by people they had designated. Mrs. Hamer responded, "Senator Humphrey, I've been praying about you, and I've been thinking about you, and you're a good man, and you know what's right. The trouble is you're afraid to do what you know is right. You just want this job. And I know a lot of people have lost their jobs, and God will take care of you, even if you lose this job. But Humphrey, if you take this job, you won't be worth anything. Mr. Humphrey, I'm going to pray for you again." speak your truth. And my fourth suggestion for undermining authoritarian oppression is to be in community. Resisting authoritarianism is not the sort of activity that one can survive well as a solo actor. We all need a support system, a place to which we can retreat and from which we can draw healing and reassurance, or maybe advice on changing course. I remember Harry Wiersma Jr., a longtime member of this congregation, telling the story of joining one of the demonstrations in downtown Knoxville, probably at the Tennessee Theater. The demonstrators were arrested, and he, as the sole white male, was placed in the white drunk tank. The jailer explained to the rest of the drunk tank that Harry was one of those civil rights demonstrators. Harry wisely looked for a wall or a corner where he could watch out for assaults, and decided, okay, start singing. And what popped into his head was something that he, as a choir member, had sung the previous Sunday in the choir of this congregation, a musical setting of the Lord's Prayer. As he began that, the residents of the black drunk tank down the hall joined in because they included most of the men from the Knoxville College choir. It was quite a rendition. When it finished, one of Harry's co-residents of the drunk tank said, "That was beautiful. Sing it again." The community of fellow demonstrators saved Harry. Back in November, shortly after the election, Perry Bacon, a columnist in the Washington Post, listed 5 things to do if you were distressed after the election. His second suggestion was join a Unitarian Universalist congregation. He wrote, "I recently started regularly attending a UU service in Louisville. It's much more political than the Christian churches I've previously been a member of. But before the election, church members engaged in politics in a practical way, encouraging congregants to go canvassing in opposition to a proposed constitutional amendment here to create a school vouchers program. So, at least on Sundays, I was in a community of people working on a concrete, discrete issue, local issue, as opposed to speculating about poll numbers. Post-election, I was relieved to be in a space where we openly discussed shared values and ideals we felt had been rejected by America, such as support of immigrants and LGBTQ+ people. So here we are. Maybe it is a dumpster fire. Maybe a lot of stinky accelerant has been tossed on the dumpster and not much fire retardant. And maybe we find ourselves downwind of it. That may be the present situation, but it is not the ultimate reality. We are part of a community. We've already followed Perry Bacon's suggestion. This is a community in which we can look for the good and build on that. This is a community that affirms the dignity and worth of every single person, even those you and I may vehemently disagree with. We affirm and do our best to practice the democratic process rather than kowtow to authority. This is a community that can laugh at foolishness, even our own. This is a community that urges each of us, be yourself, speak your truth. Yes, as one of the songs of the civil rights movement says, freedom is a constant struggle. But we are in a community that is supportive of the necessary struggle. We are in a community that encourages each of us, in our own way, to be in the struggle. Together, we are not alone. And sometimes, we will win. Our closing hymn is number 118 in the hymnal, but you may want to skip looking at the hymnal because we're only going to sing the first verse as it's printed there. I'll be giving you the next few verses. This is much in the spirit of the movement. Actually, I mentioned Mrs. Hamer. This was her signature song. And as in the movement, every singing of it spoke to the moment and the place. So, rise, and we'll sing This Little Light of Mine. light shine as we go forth. Your light, our light. Let it shine. As your last act of worship, turn and greet a fellow freedom fighter.